Like they touch my face. I did, yeah. I did, okay. I wake up, and I just no tight. First time in the wild, if I cook for myself. It's more rest. I no rush, no. I just stay. I look my dog. Look my face down today. My peace, they love my sound. I feel body so. But it opened me again. Oh, I remember things, but I know lead me again. Yeah, chase me. Every day out there, you please. Even when it's shaking, I choose you. Every day, just peace. Even when it's shaking, switch. No need to explain. Them don't ask me why I change. I feel sick alone, no fear, no rush. I don't hesitate, quite hope be lost. Some scars still there, but them no room. Now remind us, say, I survived too. I know the chase love, make you save me. The pure make you hold me. I choose me. I choose me. Every day I choose peace. Even when it's shake, I choose me. Every day I choose peace. Even when it's shake, I choose me. I choose me. If I go slow, I go take them. If I wait, I go wait too. No hurry, no shame, still there. And I won't do what I feel free. I feel space. Even with my scars, I don't affect. Tuesday's life, use me.
Thank you. On that note, let's enter this conversation, choosing ourselves and choosing each other and choosing peace as we walk through what that means for us together. Welcome to the part 3 of Bruises Don't Always Show conversation. And today we're going to dive into the concluding part, which is part 3, where we're going to be talking about softness after survivor, focusing on healing, accountability, community care, and reimagining queer love. And to begin this, we'd love to ground ourselves in this conversation today. Before we ground ourselves, I want to remind us that this being part 3 means we've had part 1 and 2. For some of you who might not have joined us before, and they are available on iAfrica's YouTube page, where we've moved from talking about when harm does not arrive loudly, what that means in terms of understanding invisible abuse, silence, and emotional control. Then we talked, part 2 focused on fear, stigma, and survivor, where we explored how criminalization, shame, and social isolation shape queer relationship and impact survivors. All these within the theme of Bruises Don't Always Show queer intimacy, intimate partner violence, and pathways towards healing. So where we are today for Softness After Survival is to imagine together that pathway to healing, looking at healing, accountability, community care, and reimagining queer love. So we're going to begin by grounding ourselves, and we'll dive into the conversation. All the people who are here today in this conversation with me have been introduced previously in part 1 and 2 of these conversations. And Odi will be in conversation with me. Ade and Amari will be in conversation as well. And me, as your moon goddess, will be leading this conversation. But to learn more about Odi's work, about Ade's work, about Amari's work, about my work, about iAfrica, I'm going to share with you in the chat room the links to all our websites. That way, we are able to dive straight into this conversation. Are you ready as I am? Now over to you, Ade. Please grant us to begin this conversation.
Right. Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm looking forward to our conversation this evening. But yeah, before we do that, let's take a moment to settle in. So what I'm going to invite you to do to start off with is I'd like you to stretch to, like, if you can, if you're able to get your arms out and stretch your arms if you're able to do that. If you want to yawn, feel free to yawn. If you want to wiggle, feel free to do that. I know as I'm doing it, I notice the tightness in my body. So, yeah, simply move your body. You know, this is the body that's been carrying us all day. So here we are. We're doing this to honor and welcome the body into this space. And then very gently start to bring that to a close. And then next, if you're able to, I'd like you to rotate your shoulders. It could be forward, it could be backwards. Just very gently. Imagine all your ancestors, your healthy ancestors are behind you and they're giving you a shoulder rub. Really feeling into our healthy ancestors. And then bringing that to a close. And if you're able to and like to, can close your eyes or lower your gaze so that you're not looking at anything in particular. But if you're able to and want to, close your eyes and take your attention inwards and simply notice how is your body doing right now as you connect with your body. Allow your body to soften. If you find yourself distracted, that's okay. Simply bring your attention back to your body. You might want to focus on your breathing in and breathing out. But check in with your body. How is it doing right now? How is the energy level? And as part of that softening, I'd like you to place one hand or both hands on a part of your body that could do with some compassion, some tenderness right now. So it could be your lap, it could be your belly, your chest, your face. I know for me right now, I'm feeling something in my heart and my stomach. So I've got two different places I'm touching. So allow your hand to stay there and check in with that part of your body. What does that part of your body need right now? Feel into that. If you were to speak to that part of the body, what would you say to that part of the body? It might be something like, I'm here for you. I've got you. It might be something else. It might be no words. Simply allow that part of your body to receive the love and the tenderness that you're giving it right now. And as you're doing that, I'd like you to really feel the ground beneath your feet so that your body knows that during our time together, it is safe. Your body is safe. Your body is not going to be harmed during this conversation. So as your hand is where it is, I'd like you to resource yourself so that if you feel activated or triggered during our conversation, you know that you're in a safe space, a holding space, and you will not be harmed. And as you're here with your healthy ancestors, I'd like you to know that you are supported and you're held. And then very gently letting go of the parts of the body that you were holding, having your hands back on your lap, gently opening your eyes, looking around the space that you're in so that you know that the space is also holding you. You might want to look up and down to the sides, behind, so that you feel grounded in this space. Thank you. Back to you, Tony.
Thank you so much, Ade. How are you doing, everyone? Could you please take a moment to type in the chat room how you're feeling after this grounding exercise? Let's hear from you. How are you feeling? In one word, there is no right or wrong answer. It's just you showing up the way you are in this moment. Yes, thank you. Amari is feeling ready. Let's hear from some of you. The more the merrier. I'm feeling ready myself, and I'm feeling energized, and I'm feeling present. I would want us to, as you're typing, tender and open. Thank you. Relax, Tosin. Thank you, everyone, for bringing how you are into the room. As we begin, I would want to jump right straight into having the opening conversation with OD by asking if you were to leave us with 2 or 3 healing reflections after everything you've uncovered through your research and through these conversations. What do you believe is the way forward for our communities? What exactly would they be?
Well, first, I'd like to thank, everyone who has been joining this series. And sadly, this is the last part of the series. And I think that it's important conversations that I hope that we're able to carry on those conversations even beyond this series. But in terms of reflections from the research, I think that one of the first reflections for me was that we need to become better at recognizing harm, like even before it becomes crisis, because I think that one of the most significant information that came out from the research was that intimate partner violence doesn't begin with physical violence. It begins with the little things. Sometimes it doesn't even begin with violence itself, but it's just those little moments that sometimes are very easy to dismiss. Like you start walking on eggshells, you're constantly second guessing yourself, or you feel like you're shrinking, you're losing yourself, and all of that. And I think that if we are able to better recognize those silent moments, then we're able to better create support systems also for people before they reach those breaking points. And I think another reflection for me was that healing is not something that we have to do alone. And yeah, I think that was another important thing that came out from the conversations with persons that experience intimate partner violence, is that lots of people didn't speak up for fear of judgment, for just carried those moments in silence, or being afraid of being exposed, or some people don't even know where to get the help that they required. But I think that healing becomes possible when people are able to know that they have that community, they have people that are listening without asking questions like, why didn't you leave? Or well, how didn't you know that this is the situation, or things like that. But just asking, I think asking more questions with intention and care, like how can I work with you? How can I support you? And helping people to seek help. But I think that the last thing for me is for us to also reimagine what love looks like. Like I think that for many people, I think we've shared this in some of the previous conversations that we've asked people to endure, we've asked people to be patient, and yeah, and sometimes we've somehow confused love with endurance, confused that with commitment, confused jealousy with care, controlling for care and all of that. And so I think that we should be able to recognize that, reimagine what love is, and then people should not disappear in order for a relationship to thrive. I think that that is something that we should also focus on. Relationship should be like something that you show up with freedom and
Yes.
also enjoy safety and care as well. Yeah.
Thank you so much for shedding light on that. And I really think a lot is resonating with me as well, with the confusion, what we confuse, survival strategies that we're seeing as love, and what is making it impossible for us to reimagine love as it should be and to reclaim that. So now looking back across this work, this amazing work that you've done, were there any healing practices, community responses, or ways of loving that emerged? And this coming up for me because we want to reimagine queer love as well. And this is either from survivors themselves or through your reflections that help people move from survivor towards softness. Are there some?
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that this project taught me is that healing rarely arrives all at once, right? It begins with those kind of ordinary, very human acts. And I think that one of the things I noticed from survivors was that healing often started like the moment when they stopped trying to convince themselves that nothing was wrong. Like just realizing that what the situation you're dealing with, there's something wrong with that. Being able to name the harm in itself is an act of healing. It's like when you start to trust your own experiences again. And yeah, because sometimes people just lose touch of reality, one thing that makes intimate partner violence hard to also recognize is the fact that you're dealing with someone you love, right? And so,
Yes.
yeah, struggling with that balance can also be a big situation. But the second thing that stood out for me was also the importance of being believed. This is very important, like not being interrogated, not being rushed by family and friends to make decisions, not being told what you should have done differently. Just simply being believed sometimes can be very helpful because it's like when someone says to you, I believe you, I'm here, you're not carrying this alone, those kind of soothing words can also help. But I think that when I find myself thinking about softness, I used to think that softness is just the opposite of strength. Like, but after listening to many stories, it's softness it has become what is possible of you, like when you no longer have to live in should I say survival mode. It's like
Yeah.
being able to rest without feeling guilty, being able to laugh without wondering if you're about to be criticized. Just also setting healthy boundaries without feeling guilty for it and all of that. I think that trusting your instincts is also very important because allowing yourself to how do I put this now? Allowing yourself to love without losing yourself is also something very important. And I think that those are the kind of things I think around when I hear softness. And I think that healing isn't necessarily like for me, like it's not necessarily like the absence of harm, or it's like when you're able to survive in or live in that space with like when there's safety, dignity, care,
Yes.
and just maybe also healing isn't about becoming who you were before the harm, but also like when you now become someone who fully is aware that you deserve relationships where you can be fully yourself, you can be fully respected, you can be fully loved, and without having to, yeah, deal with some of those situations in the past.
Thank you so much. As I am listening to you, I'm recognizing that for us to jump into the next conversation, unpacking some of the things you've talked about to see how exactly can we bring this to accountability? Can we bring this to reimagination? Can we bring it to community practice? I would love for us to play this song that I love from the projects. I came out of the Bruises Don't Always Show, and I was to kind of use that to pause on what you've told us and then enter the reflection that is going to follow with Ade, Amari, and yourself. I hope we are ready for that. I can share now my
Screen. We can see
my
it.
screen. So let's see. Oh, wait, that's not the one. Let's see. Yes. I still think I'm not playing this one song. Sorry, oh. The song is Change. Am I playing Change? Yes, I am. Please, let's relax and enjoy this. Use the moment to grab water, grab something, and come back and listen with intention to the song. I hope you can hear it.
The sound, because I'm not hearing it properly.
It's breaking.
Yeah.
It's breaking.
Yes.
Ow. Is that
The
like my
audio.
internet now? Let's see. It might be my
The sound.
internet. Is the sound?
Did you click share sound when you're sharing your screen?
Ah, that's true. Let me check to see if I do that. Oof. I'm even trying to stop sharing now to be able to try again. And hopefully this time around,
I'm happy to try if it will work from my end as well.
I think I've seen, yeah, that one with share sound. It says share computer audio. I think that's the one. Yeah, so let me try again now. And you let me see. Is it better now?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Let's begin again.
All we want is, all we need is, hoping for a brighter, hoping for better. All we want is, all we need is, hoping for brighter, hoping for better. Push through all the highs and lows. That's how we keep on forging. Look up to a silver line. That's how I know we've got hope. Yeah. Rise up, speak up for what you believe in. Fighting all sides, freedom, my religion, other sides of the man. But a fight in a man. Like a broom, we don't break up. Yeah. We never give up. But me, show my give up. Don't you give up. All we want is, all we need is, looking for a better, hoping for a brighter. All we want is, all we need is, looking for a brighter. All we want is something that gives you special type of feeling. Only fulfillment and peace we be wanting. Man, live life on the edge, such is risky. Doing the things that I want, no judgment. Only peace and love, no violence. Baby, all we want is a pretty little thing. Hoping that someday we will all be free. Freedom is coming, and we need to keep on marching. Rise up, stand up, make you come with me. There's a special type of feeling that is up in here. Freedom is coming, we need to keep on marching. Rise up, stand up, come with me. The blessings that them eyes can see, still I they show receipts. I navigate the valley out the dirt to stop them Pharisees. My win certified. Why me go come the light? Cause me I to the try. Why me go come the shine? My blessings verified. I swear it's verified. My blessings verified. All I need is change, and all we need is change.
Change, I think, is a good way to enter the next phase of this conversation. I want you to let me know if you are hearing me clearly. I've not removed the computer sound. I'm just leaving it for the last song as well that we're going to be playing to close. And talking about change, I would love to bring Ade into the conversation to share with us how you think we can remain accountable for the ways we love one another without reproducing harm. How can we do that as a community?
Ooh, this is such a big topic, and what immediately comes to mind as I listen to the question is love. That self-love is really important. And when I say self-love, I'm being really deliberate because I also mean healthy love. Because some of us grew up in homes where love meant abuse, love meant pain. Love meant that struggle and survival as opposed to thriving. And so for me, the big thing that comes to mind is how does our history show up in our present? That is really, really important. So one of the things I always say to myself when I'm in situations is, how is my own history playing out here? How is my own history playing out in this dynamic? So I think back to the relationship that I was in that was emotionally abusive, that was psychologically abusive. And the way my history played out was there was something about my dad that was in there, about my father, where it was very, I was so desperate for him to love me, to accept me. Like, yeah, just really, really struggling with that. So I was with this person who reminded me of that energetically. And I kept hoping that my behavior would make this person change. Like one day he's going to wake up and go, oh, there you are. I see you. I care for you. I love you. And the minute I made that connection, like, oh, this is an old dynamic that's playing out, something just dropped. Like I remember bumping into him years later, and it was like, I've been reflecting on our relationship. I want to apologize to you. I was really emotionally abusive. And I said, thank you for the apology. But the thing is, that relationship helped me wake up because it helped me question what is it that's keeping me here? And I think as part of that interrogation, it's really important that we don't go to a place of blame because it then becomes, am I blaming myself? Am I shaming myself? And it's not about that. It's about how can I give myself compassion, but at the same time go, you know what?
Because everybody, so it was from my end. Continue, please.
Okay. Yeah, I was talking about not going to that place of shaming and blaming ourselves, um, but coming from a place of compassion. So I think it starts with self-compassion, self-love, because that really opens up that space for healing. And I also want to build on something that Odi mentioned, which was around sharing our stories with people who are not going to judge us, shame us, but who are going to hold us with compassion is really, really important because we want to be in environments where the interaction is soothing the wound as opposed to inflaming the wound. And not everyone is going to have the capacity to hold us. So I would say to be selective with who we're sharing these wounds with, actually. That's really, really important. Otherwise, we might re-traumatize ourselves through those conversations.
Thank you so much. As I'm listening to what you're saying, I recall a healer emphasizing one time that when it comes to loving in interpersonal romantic relationship, there is often two nervous systems coming together. And that nervous systems, carry a lot of history, childhood history, it could be traumatic history, it could be something else. And then that's what shows up. And within that space of our nervous system showing up is whatever it is that had become unresolved for us, that we have carried as something that is hurting or that we need love from. Like I did talk about, love from the father. Some, it might be love from the mother, or it might just be things that we've picked up that shows us that's how love should be. Then this nervous system just gets into action. I really found that very enlightening. When Odi was talking as well, was talking about being believed is very important in community. So because if we are talking about healing accountability, which is part of what Ade has spoken to, and now we want to link that with being believed, the community care aspect. I would love Amari to imagine this with us. How do we become communities where people feel believed, heard, and restored?
Thank you, everybody, for holding this space. I have like a singular approach, but I wish to say the things that I have in my heart for it to make sense. So I have written it down so it's easy to get across. And I've captured this as community care reflection, believing, holding, restoring from the right category. Thank you for holding this space. And thank you to everyone who has journeyed with this conversation. The question I'm sitting on is, how do we become communities where people feel believed, held, and restored? And because this final conversation is about softness after survival, I want to begin by widening what we mean by community. Community is not only a large group of people. Community.
I'm sorry, there's this noise not from me. I don't know who. Let me try and look quickly so I can mute.
So community is not only a large group of people. Community can be one friend, one witness, one lover, one person who sits with us, one person who listens without rushing to explain us away. Community can be any relationship or connection where another person meets us in our becoming. But before we ask how community can believe, hold, and restore us, I want to offer something foundational. We can only believe, hold, and restore others to the extent that we have begun to believe, hold, and restore ourselves. Not perfectly, not completely, but honestly. Because if I have no room inside myself for what is unnamed, I may not have room for what is unnamed in you. If I have not learned to hold my own wounds without immediately reducing it, correcting it, or shaming it, I may do the same to you. If I have not allowed myself to become someone new after survival, I may keep trying to return you to who you were before the harm. And this matters because after survival, softness is not automatic. Coming out of harm does not mean the body immediately knows how to rest. Sometimes the danger is over, but the body is still learning to listen for it. Sometimes the relationship has ended, but the shrinking remains. Sometimes the person has left the harm, but they still do not have language for what happened. And this is where beliefs begin. Belief is not the same as certainty. Belief is not, I know everything. Belief is not, I have all the facts. Belief is the room we make for what we do not yet fully know. It is the room we make for the body's early signals, for the chest becoming tight, for the stomach turning, for the voice becoming small, for the feeling of shrinking, for the exhaustion that comes after speaking, for the confusion that keep returning, for the quiet sense that something happened here, even if I cannot yet name it. So when we speak about believing ourselves, we're not always saying, I know exactly what this wound is. Sometimes believing ourselves begins with saying, I do not yet know what this is, but I will not dismiss it. I do not yet have the full name, but I will not abandon the signal. I do not yet understand what my body is reacting to, but I will stay curious instead of calling myself dramatic. This is also how we begin to believe others, not by demanding that they arrive with a perfect story, not by asking them to already know the category of the harm, but by making room for the not yet named. I want to give you a simple example. Imagine someone who has survived a relationship where they were never hit, never openly threatened, and never visibly bruised. But inside that relationship, they became smaller. They stopped speaking freely. They began to rehearse every sentence. They carried the mood of the other person. They explained themselves again and again. They lost trust in their own perception. Then they came out of that relationship. They have survived, but they are not yet soft. They are still bracing. They tell a friend, I don't know what happened, but I don't feel like myself anymore. At that moment, the friend can respond in many ways. That friend can say, maybe it was just a communication issue, or maybe you are overthinking it, or at least they did not hit you, or relationships are complicated. And even if the friend means well, something painful happens there. The wound is placed in the wrong category. That is what I call category wound. A category wound is the pain that happens when what we experience is put in the wrong box. When fear is called sensitivity, when control is called protection, when silence is called peace, when shrinking is called compromise, when survival is called weakness or strength, when the body says this was heavy, but the world says it was not that serious. And after survival, this category mismatch matters deeply because softness cannot become sustainable if we still have to fight for the right to name what happened. The body cannot relax if the wound is constantly being minimized. The self cannot return if it is always being asked to translate its pain into something smaller. So to become community where people feel believed, held, and restored, we must become people who can hold category. And that begins with ourselves. Can I hold myself at the right category? Can I say, this was not just discomfort, this was fear? Can I say, this was not just helping, this was labor? Can I say, this was not just sadness, this was grief? Can I say, this was not weakness or strength, this was survival? Can I say, this version of me that emerged after harm is not broken, they are becoming? Holding ourselves at the right category is one of the ways we make softness possible. Because when I hold myself correctly, I stop forcing my wound to be smaller than it is. I stop asking my body to justify what it already knows. I stop negotiating against my own dignity. And then, from that place, I can hold another person more accurately. To hold someone is not to fix them. It is not to take over their decision. It is not to rush them into healing. Holding means creating a relational space where the person does not have to shrink their truth to be received. It means asking, what category does this belong to? What kind of care does this wound require? Am I meeting this person at the level of what they carry? Or am I making their experience easier for me to manage? Because care must match category. If the wound is shame, the care must restore dignity. If the wound is fear, the care must create safety. If the wound is silence, the care must make room for voice. If the wound is control, the care must restore agency. If the wound is category mismatch, the care must must name the wound correctly. That is how holding becomes more than comfort. It becomes accurate care. And then comes restoration. Restoration for me does not mean returning someone to who they were before the harm. Sometimes survival changes us. Sometimes the person we were before cannot return in the same form. And maybe the goal is not to go backwards. Maybe restoration means becoming a version of ourselves that can live with more truth, more dignity, more discernment, more tenderness, more boundary, more softness that is not naive, more love that does not require disappearance. So when we ask how people feel restored, I think we must ask, are we trying to return them to an old version, or are we making room for the version that became? Because softness after survival is not about pretending harm did not happen. It is about creating conditions where the survivor no longer has to stay hardened in order to be safe. Softness becomes sustainable when the person is believed without being forced to explain themselves over and over. Held without being controlled, restored without being pushed backwards, and received in the right category. So my reflection is this. If we want communities where people feel believed, held, and restored, we must begin by practicing this within ourselves. We must make room for what is unnamed. We must listen to the body without mocking its signal. We must hold ourselves at the right category. We must allow ourselves to become, not only to return. And then when another person comes to us with a wound they cannot yet fully name, we can meet them differently, not with disbelief, not with reduction, not with fear of the truth, but with the kind of presence that says, you do not have to make this smaller for me. You do not have to have the perfect name yet. I can sit with you while the truth becomes clear. And I will not mistake your survival for weakness or strength. That to me is one way to make softness after survival possible. Thank you.
Thank you so, so much for that amazing reflective way of holding one another, restoring one another, and unpacking what communities mean, because if we're looking at it, we might think we're talking about institution, but you and your friend can be a community. But now when it comes to talking about queer love within a space where oppression is part of what has shaped how we show up in the world, what we're fighting for, what we're, speaking against, and the kind of life that we want to live. It means that doing relationship in a way that is honoring is part of restoration. It's part of coming back home to ourselves. And from what I was hearing, from what all of you have said thus far, including what Amari just shared with us, is we need a presence that is nurturing, a presence that is not judgmental, a presence that is discerning. So it means even if we don't have the capacity to support somebody, wounding them is not an excuse. You can be with somebody who doesn't understand what you are going through, but minimizing it by deflecting to what we usually do in society. Let's use Nigeria, for example. I was talking to Dr. Temitope today, and I think he's on the call as well, about how we kind of compete for adversity and compare it. Somebody tells you something is going on with them, like, oh, they're hurting, or, there's something painful had happened. And you're like, oh, is that little thing that is making you cry? If you see what happened to, then quickly you are comparing that, oh, somebody lost their home. They are still standing. You just lost your shoe. You are crying. Is it not just shoe? So like you've minimized, you've reduced whatever it is that means to this person. It doesn't have to be your story. And within that conversation was me remembering this book, The Emotional Life of Your Brain, where the neuroscientist Richard Davidson was talking about the spectrum of resilience, that something that can hurt somebody might not hurt the other, because the resilience you carry, how you have developed your emotions response to certain things are different. It might be the way you are nurtured, it might be how you have grown through experience, but for another person, it's not like that. So part of what I'm getting and hearing is within our community, wherever that community sits for us, how can we show up for people as even the entrance or entry to reimagining queer love? That's showing up, that presence, that non-judgmental way of listening, that active listening. Then to remember what Ade said as well about love. So what's that love for us? And for me, I'm already hearing that when it comes to the self, when Ade is talking about self-love. Imagine if I am critical of myself and the voice inside my head is so not helpful to myself. Showing up for someone else might be difficult because I'm already judgmental towards myself. But if I open my heart to self-love that is non-judgmental, it allows me to show up for others without judging them, and with them receiving the kind of support that is necessary to go through what they are going through. With what I've said thus far, I want to throw it open to the three of you, but starting with Odi. Odi, what do you think now with what we have said thus far, reimagining queer love would look like or should look like?
I mean, for those of us living in Nigeria, Nigeria too has stretched us in so many ways, right? That
Yes.
queer love should be a safe space. But it's also unfortunate that, yeah, sometimes queer love is also, I mean, maybe not just narrow it down to queer love alone, but sometimes love in all settings can also be a space for violence, intimate partner violence, and experiencing abuse and all of that. But I think that one of the biggest changes we need to make is in how we treat each other, also maybe also how we understand relationships. I think that one of the biggest lessons for me in life, this is even beyond this project, is that relationships does not have to answer, they don't have to answer every question, they don't always have to meet all your needs. Your relationship shouldn't be the only place where you feel like you belong. But I do also believe that queer relationships can be part of that wider network of care, especially when it's supported by friends, chosen family, community. How is like our cultural shifts and shared responsibility showing up in our relationships as well? I think that this can give us more freedom to reimagine relationship outside of the usual rules. Um, like it or not, not every relationship is it's going to be permanent. And sometimes not every relationship is exclusive and or um sometimes that constant emotional support just because the lack of it is there doesn't mean that relationship is not meaningful. I know that it's also helpful, but I'm just saying that there are many possibilities within relationship. But I think that one of the things that we can ask ourselves in relationship is what agreements can help everyone in that relationship to feel free? What agreements can we come to that would help everyone in the relationship to feel respected and most importantly able to grow? What kind of commitments can work for everyone in the relationship as well? I think that those are the kind of important questions that we also need to ask ourselves. But relationships should also be like that place where vulnerability is met with care. It shouldn't be something that is used or is weaponized, something to use to push you to your limits. Like because I know that even when sometimes when you set boundaries, it sometimes it means that you're rejecting or you don't love enough. Why are you setting boundaries? Why are you saying you can't come over to the house until you call first? What are you hiding and all of those kind of questions? But I think that boundaries should not be seen as rejection. Conflict should not automatically mean that a relationship is in danger. Conflicts, we always experience conflict, right? Even in other aspects of life. And so um it's how we move forward when conflict arises that also matters. And also accountability. How are we willing to listen, willing to change, especially, and also willing to make repair, most especially when we also cause harm? Because I know that lots of us show up saying that, yeah, we've experienced intimate partner violence or abuse, but then we are also forgetting to sometimes recognize that sometimes we are also perpetrators of violence. It's all within the community. As we have survivors, then the perpetrators are also there. And so it could be we are also the perpetrators, right? So how are we able to show up to repair? How are we able to listen to when someone is saying that, hey, you've hurt me in this way, how you are apologizing and willing to repair that relationship? That is very important. And just to reiterate about to stop measuring people with how willing they are to suffer. Yeah, and I also liked the comparative suffering that you mentioned when someone is telling you their experiences and then you're minimizing it and saying, you're only small now. If you hear what happened to me or hear what happened to this person and all of that. But just ensuring that people are in relationships are loved, are not minimizing themselves, are not shrinking themselves. That's the one important thing for me, like not shrinking yourself so that the relationship should work. I think relationships should be spaces for growth, development, mutual growth, mutual development, freedom, safety, care, and most importantly, love. And I think that these are things that should show up outside of even sexual relationships, but also relationships with friends, chosen family, as a community a whole. Like I feel like if we show up with intention, care for everyone, I think that yeah, queer love is going to be absolutely amazing and possible for us as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Before I move to Ade has shared something here that I kind of love. I don't trust people who don't love themselves and tell me I love you. That what Maya Angelou said, or Maya Angelou, that's the African saying. And the one that says, be careful when a naked person offers you a shirt. Maybe you begin the conversation with this because I really think they are very important. And with what Ode said, if we are already imagining what healing practices we can bring to the queer love that we are reimagining, I think it's important for us to recognize that within ourselves, that growth needs to, be the seed. It needs to be the seed that we are planting to germinate. It means we need to reflect on our own practices with others, with ourselves, what language we speak to ourselves and what do we speak to others, how do we show up for ourselves and how do we, by extension, show up for others. Ade, is over to you.
Wow. Yeah, there's so much there actually. And what's coming up for me right now is when it comes to relationships, one of the things I often check in with myself on is what's mine in this situation? Like, what's mine? What's yours? And what is ours? And I think it's really important to discern that. So in those moments, to actually pause and go, actually, what's my history? What's my pattern? What's my stuff? And what's your stuff? And then what's our stuff that we're bringing in? And then one of the things that's emerging from our conversation is there's this systemic stuff as well, like the cultural, which feeds in, it feeds into the system. And someone, Regina just put stuff in chat,
Yes.
which kind of ties in with that in terms of those messages, in terms of, the heteronormative expectations. What's the baggage that I'm bringing into this situation? Because the way that I've imagined, queer relationships to be, which can be really, really challenging as well, because many of us, what does it mean to be gay? What does it mean to be bi? What does it mean to be queer? What does it mean to be lesbian? Those messages can be imprinted. And for some of us who don't have that collective, healthy family system to go, oh, let's sit down and talk. Like I remember growing up, the weekends, uncles and aunties will come and visit our parents, and they'll be like, oh, my husband did this, my husband did that. And then my dad or my mom would sit down with them and talk to them. But for many of us in queer relationships, we don't have that traditional family system. Many of us found chosen families to set that up. But chosen families, they also have their own stuff that's going on, which sometimes is when that comparative suffering kicks in. It's like, oh, you've come to tell me about he didn't unload the dishwasher. And I'm like, he called me names yesterday. So I understand where the comparative suffering comes in, because sometimes it's not about blaming or shaming. It's looking for commonality, but unfortunately, it then becomes a hierarchy.
Yeah.
And I think because many of us don't have that holding system. And so what I would love to see more of is community. Like we're here today. Like right now, I'm imagining us sitting in a circle, with a fire in the middle, and we're sharing these stories. We're not looking to fix, we're not looking to solve, we're looking to bear witness. Like, let me bear witness to your pain. Oh, and we listen, and that person feels heard, that person feels seen, that person feels understood. And many of us don't have that, actually. And so my wish leaving this is we start to cultivate communities of witnessing, where we can hold each other with compassion, with love, and with tenderness. We need more of that.
Yes. Thank you. And I know you and I have spoken about this, and it's been a recurring theme in some of your healing offering. And you call that benevolent witnessing. And I think it's very important because we don't have a lot of that. And that is what's stripping of what we could tap into in terms of supporting one another, getting one another through a hard time. Because I believe a lot in agency, the agency of each other to figure things out eventually. But that support goes a long way until it makes the journey easier. Thank you so much for reminding us of that. And I don't know if Amari has something to add to this before I ask all of you to share with us one or two healing practices you will recommend. And then I'm going to open the floor for reflection. If anybody has something to say, I'm sorry, we wanted to wrap this up for 1 hour, but I'm recognizing that we ought to have just made it the usual 1 hour, 30 minutes. So I'm
reimagining queer love. For me, genuinely, I think that if I'm to say it, it's something that I've been doing with myself to reimagine queer love, because one of it is, first of all, to dismantle this heteronormative hierarchy of relationship. So there is no queer love without the self. So the first relationship, because when we talk about relationship, we only think about romantic partner, intimate partner kind of relationship. But that is not sustainable, because there is no human being that lives and thrives only by their partner. I mean, theoretically, just as a matter of fact. So how do you then uproot the flower from the garden and just put it in the verse, how long would it survive there? So the first thing to acknowledge, I think, is the acknowledgement of the relationship to the self. There is a relationship with myself. That's the first one. I need to really understand that, focus on that, because that's the foundation to every other one. If we're not going to abandon ourselves in love, then how do we make sure that doesn't happen if we don't know where we start and where we end? Just like Ade said, what is mine, or what is yours, and what is ours? So relationship to myself, then relationship to what I call the garden. What are those friends or persons, individuals who sort of sustain you? You know, it doesn't have to be 1 million people. It could be one or two persons who are in your inner circle. This is an important relationship, especially if they have been there with you, you know, for a period of time. Now, it's important to understand their value in your life and how they've contributed to you to this point. So acknowledging that relationship, acknowledging the relationship to yourself, then comes the relationship as what we know as, you know, partner or intimate partner relationship. Because when you are in a partner relationship, you're not going to throw away all of these two relationships that I've mentioned. You need to be able to incorporate them in. But it's not that any of them is higher than the other. It's not that when you now be in an intimate relationship with this person or persons, because it can be one person or many persons, depending on the relationship to self. Because it is in the relationship itself that you understand what will be required, what you can give in this partner relationship, what you want from them. I think that sometimes we like to pretend this obliviousness that it's not an exchange. Every relationship is a type of transaction, whether we acknowledge it or not. But even if we don't use the word transaction, I think it's an exchange. And it's important that exchange feels bodily, how do you say, bodily sufficient. Like, let the body translate that exchange to see that they are almost equal. Because if not, your body knows before your mind. So if your body start to sense injustice, it will come up later. So this relationship to in the partner is not on top of the chain while others are below. They are all simultaneously existing to support life. I think another thing I want to say in our queer relationship is that we should start with an exit condition. Sorry, entry condition and exit condition. We always live with this illusion that, oh, we are here forever and forever till death do us part. But I think that is one of the fake things of life. There is no guarantee that you are with this person forever and forever. How do you even say that? Do you know what will happen after 2 years? Do you know what will happen in their life after 3 years? Do you even know if you'll be here after that? So there is no possibility of saying, oh, we are just here forever and forever. That's just childish fantasy. It's important we put an exit condition. What happens if we can no longer continue? What are the terms? What then becomes of us, right? Now, in this exit condition, it's important for us to have review terms. There is no relationship, even in the intimate partner relationship, that just all by itself grows. You know, like, yeah, we are now in relationship, you are my partner, and then suddenly that's over. No, we might have conditions at the beginning, at entry. These are the terms that will help us function as individuals without losing ourselves. But I think that I also want that. I think that in most relationships, we create a type of synergy. You know, it's not like A plus B is no longer AB, it becomes a C, but it's not you losing yourself or them losing themselves. There is a part of you that became within because you are within that relationship. So this is important to have entry conditions. What are the terms you agreed on at entry? What are your review possibilities? When do you review? You should have review terms, not just only on 1 year anniversary. It could be 3 months reviews or quarterly, I don't know, whatever review. We do it in business, but we don't do it in our relationship. And you wonder why we are where we are. So yeah, there should be opportunities to review. Are we still agreeing with what we said before? Do we still feel what we feel before? Is it different? Do you want to change something? Do you want to upgrade something? And then the exit condition. Because if something is no longer agreeable within the review, then you should go your way. And I think that one of the things we should not adopt from heterosexuals what do you call it, normative behavior is this idea of forever and forever. It doesn't make sense. Forever and forever allows everybody to be lazy. It's like, yeah, we are now here together. What still is we are married? Oh, we are now married, so we are stuck together. Nothing happens. No, it's work for everybody. If we want to remain here, we have to constantly review, assess ourselves genuinely. If we no longer want to continue, then we can go our way peacefully, amicably. There is no need to reduce the person just because the decision or the contract has ended or the relationship has ended. So for me, queer relationship should go in this direction. To the self, to the guardian, or to the friends that support, then comes the partner one. And within this partner relationship, there should be entry conditions, review terms, and exit condition.
Thank you so much. When you were sharing that, I remember my first and only marriage before I got divorced in 2000. When did we divorce? 2014, but like left in 2012. And we were together for 5 years. And we've been friends, through university. And I remember, telling him when we were getting serious that we need to both write out our expectations in this relationship. So I came with my list. And then he was like, what are you talking about? I was like, yeah, let's review. And from there, I was seeing a few things clearly that, to be part of what people review. Because from onset, I said, I believe in divorce. If something is not happening, he doesn't believe in divorce. And I was sure I didn't want to have children, but I was still putting it there that maybe we have, but it's not a do or die for me, or we can adopt. And when that conversation was coming up, it was important to him to have his own kids. I didn't want my own kids. But you see, like even from the beginning of listing the expectation when we're getting serious, something wasn't in alignment, yeah? And I knew, the two nervous system, combated a lot, and we went our separate ways. And in hindsight, I was recognizing that it shouldn't have been that acrimonious, what happened eventually. But not what I know now. The conversation we would have had, we could have still ended on a friendly term, even if we had gone our separate ways. But we ended up losing the friendship as well. But eventually, I'm here, I'm child-free, I'm fucking loving it. I don't want kids in this lifetime. I know he's somewhere, and then he wrote to me one time, and I know he has kids. I'm like, oh, I'm so happy for him, because this is the life he wanted. Like from the beginning, there's that thing you've seen. Because sometimes we tell each other our truth as well, but we don't listen because chemistry, and we don't want to be alone, or how we're looking at what relationship means. All of that can really be combative. And please, anybody on the floor, if you want to speak before I go back to our speakers to talk to us about the healing practices. Ria, I'm going to call you shortly. Just get ready. Another thing I'm recognizing as we're talking, when it comes to what we're agreeing to in relationships, is that it's very important to dismantle one thing, this sense of ownership. We don't own each other. Don't. That ownership thing causes a lot of issue, because otherwise it will take us from recognizing that what we are building is connection. We're exchanging. We are in this space together and co-creating. We are each other's persons, and I am my person first. But when it comes to that ownership, this the way we go into even resolving issues are different. And I'm not saying, that means we don't value each other, but like ownership, the owning is part of what we are even dismantling when it comes to decolonization. So why are we taking that to our relationships? I hope the language we're using as well is part of what would teach us what we must learn to do differently as we are reimagining how to love better. Ria, please, you have the floor. And if anybody else wants to speak, we have like 12 more minutes to wrap up, please. Yes, Ria.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, Moon Goddess, for giving me the floor. I am very happy to be here. I wish I had this conversation 10 years ago. I think I would be in a better relationship with myself, with people around me as well. So thank you so much. It's timely. I just wanted to add on the element of the community, because I work a lot with community, especially women. And when we talk about relationship, it's building a relationship from care. Uh, we need to also ensure that we are doing it in our sense that we are not going to harm ourselves and also harm the people that we are with in a relationship with. Let us first check in with ourselves, like for me, I am a survivor of violence, and I work with women who go through violence. So one time, one survivor came to me and I told her, "Can you please work with a social worker?" She said, "Ria, I feel you listen to me better." So I invite her over to my house. We have lunch, we talk. And as soon as she opened up and said sharing what she has experienced, my body said swelling. Like my body said paining, you know? And I was crying. Instead of me now giving her the care, I was in the pain. And then later I reached out to a therapist, and my therapist said, "Ria, you've not yet worked on yourself. You think you're strong because you're supporting others, but you still need to heal yourself." So I just wanted to share that with us. But thank you so much.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
saying this. Thank you, thank you. And when Ria, the Light and Life Goddess, is speaking, my sister from South Sudan, you're from South Sudan, yeah? I don't want to miss.
Yes, from South Sudan.
Yeah, before I give you Sudan, and you're like, no, now I'm South. So I love what you added, because it's important that we know that vicarious trauma is real. And it's in that space of standing in for other people sometimes that we are re-triggered. You don't know it's gonna happen, but you've heard, you are exposed, and your own, their own, all of that now mingled together. So I hope, we pay attention to secondary trauma, which is, maybe the first aspect of it, then vicarious trauma. Because if we go that way for long, what can happen is we start having compassion fatigue, where now we're like, it has happened before, Joe. What else? We just become so dismissive, but because we are numbing what's going on. It means, as we're talking about the selves as well, we must prioritize our healing. We must prioritize our needs so that we can be better in relationships. And with that, I don't know if there's anybody else who wants to say something before I give the floor to our speakers to tell us one or two healing modalities they're suggesting, and we wrap up. Anyone else going? You can type rather. You can type in the chat room as well. Okay, I'm seeing Tissa. Hope I am pronouncing this name correctly. Great talk, Amari. You are making relationship very academic formal for us. Haha. I love it though, for clarity and perspective before someone may outsmart you just because you care more. Okay, I don't know if Amari wants to respond to that, but thank you so much for contributing to this conversation, Tissa. If
Thank
nobody
you. I can
wants to
say
say
one or
anything,
two words to Tissa.
yeah.
I think that is important we highlight the seriousness of relationship. If you look at it really, it's also one of those borrowed things from heteronormative cycle. Have you
Yes.
ever, I want to ask anybody, have any of you ever, or will you ever board a plane that the pilot says, I know that I'm 32 and I can fly the plane. You're enter. How many of
No,
you will board a plane? The pilot never went to school.
no.
But would you even try it? You wouldn't
No.
want to find out. Like you wouldn't even want to find out if the pilot actually can fly the plane. But yet, it's only in so-called marriage and relationship we don't look for qualification. If the person really qualifies to be in that relationship, it's one of those things we are told, yeah, it's time for you to get a partner. Do you have somebody now? Automatically, you don't even know yourself, but you should know somebody. So I think that is important we highlight the seriousness of what we are saying. And still, because it's the foundation of everything, the foundation of, I don't know, whatever happens. And clarity is important. Yeah. If we're not clear from the beginning, then I'm sorry. Everybody, at least the latest thing I know now is that everybody is capable of harming others. It's not, this harm is not that, I cannot harm anybody. I'm very careful. No, you are capable of harming other people, and other people are capable of harming you. So if we're going to all, prevent this from happening, we need to know what we are dealing with. And one of those things is to be clear from the get-go. Be clear. Know yourself, know what you want, know what is desired of you. And I don't even mean the serious thing. For example, someone like me, I can't share a bed. It doesn't matter how, and I can't share one bedroom with you. It's one thing I know about me. I've tried it, it doesn't work. I need that space of mine. It has to be my bedroom, your bedroom. You can come visit me, but in the afterwards, please go back to your room. Leave me alone. I love you. I love you to the moon and back, but just stay away. It doesn't work, I know it's a must be at the beginning. If I don't know that about me, and I'm constantly sharing one bedroom, or I'm constantly sleeping on the same bed, after some time, it becomes resentment. The person I love, or the person who loves me, begin to disappear. So you see where the clarity is important, and stating it clearly. So know yourself before you join with others, and hold your ground. So yeah.
Thank you so much. Ade?
Yeah, I just want to say something to that, actually building on that, because it's all well and good us sat here talking about all of this, but this is hard work. This is scary work. Vulnerability comes in, fear comes in, unmet wounds from childhood come in. So I know all this stuff, but am I doing it? There's a difference between talking and doing. So I just really want to flag that, because that is really, really important. I'm sat here talking about community and love, but yeah, there are times when my wounds are front and center, and I'm not asking for what I need. So I really want to name that, because there will be moments where those old patterns come up, where those bruises come up. And it's important for us to go, look, I'm a work in progress. I'm becoming. Healing is not linear, it's not a one-time thing. So I want us to be kind towards ourselves when maybe tonight or tomorrow or next week we find ourselves in one of those tough situations. And when that self-judgment kicks in, for us to go, yeah, I'm acknowledging to myself, I'm not living up to my expectations right now. Tomorrow I'll try my best, and maybe I'll still fall. And that's okay. That's part of being human. So let's be gentle with ourselves. I love all of this. I wish I was doing it, but I don't do it consistently.
I agree with you on that, because the book of mine that you edited for me, Ade, and thanks for that, Spiral as Fork, The Way of Healing, when I was reflecting on, the heartbreak I had this year, linking it with where that brain sadness came from, I recognized one thing that made it tough. I put myself on a pedestal of I should have known better. Why am I allowing this? Why is this happening to me? And that's stripping even myself of my humanity, because it's like, oh shit, I should have known. But but life happens. It's just now, how do we bounce back? And that's where the role of neuroplasticity comes in when you are healing yourself, when you are doing the work, you are strengthening your mind, body, and heart to learn new ways of being, to deprogram and reprogram. And the reprogramming is not just one-off. It might be a lifetime's journey, but all we are doing is, this is not about being perfect. This is about showing up. This is about being better. This is about knowing that genuinely within your heart, mind, and body, you are doing the work of reducing harm instead of amplifying and increasing it in your own life, in the lives of others. So I don't know who else is talking. Does someone want to say? Hello, John, are you saying something to us? Hello, John. Okay, maybe I should just mute. And based on that, I want to ask for the quick one. We can do one now because of time, of one healing practice you want to suggest to us to take with us as we go. Odi, if you have one to show, tell us, please get ready. Ade and Amari. Amari, I will start from you. Yeah, muted.
Sorry. I would say keep a paper trail. You know, because today, this date is 21st of August, 2026. Keep a paper trail so that you see where you are coming from, how far you've gone. It's easy for us to imagine in our head that we are not making so much progress in our healing. But if we have a paper trail that we can go back to, then we'll see what we've come off. And don't make it make it as creative as it can be for you, for your own understanding. From my own perspective, I understand things when they are structured. So you might be that you want to take some points, what you were feeling, what today at this point, how you are navigating, what you've overcome, all of this, and then you go 2026, give yourself 6 months and go back to the first page and see what you've done up until that time. You can make it 3 months or 2 weeks even, but keep a paper trail because sometimes we underestimate the progress we are making. We are really making progress, and because healing is not linear, we can't always see the picture at once. But if there's something to anchor that progress, then we can always refer back to it.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that. Ade.
Yeah, I know this has come up already. I would say find that benevolent witness. Find someone you can talk to about stuff. You can share stuff with. You know, I journal as part of my processing, but I notice a difference when I actually talk to another human being because there's a co-regulation that happens. We get to practice that sort of regulating our nervous system, being with each other, those mirror neurons can really, really help. So I would say, yeah, do an audit of the people in your life. See if you have someone who you can share with, who you can bare your soul to. And if you don't, then ask yourself, why don't I? What's going on here? Like, what's going on? What's getting in the way of that? So I would say cultivate a relationship with someone. Don't be greedy. Just focus on one person for now and yeah, and share with that person. I just said very briefly, I remember years ago when I went on a workshop all about authenticity and living our best life. And when I left that workshop, I got in touch with one of my friends and I said, I've just been on this workshop. I really want to have someone I can practice these things with. So is it okay if we check in with each other from time to time to help me keep this alive? So I would say find someone and yeah, and build that relationship.
Thank you so much. Ode.
Yeah, for me, it's I think that one of the healing practices, which is something that I'm yet to begin with, but it's something that has also come up strongly in these conversations that I think I've left with as something of value, is to practice checking in with yourself before checking with everyone else. I think that that is something that is very important. We need to ask ourselves, how am I feeling right now? What do I need? Am I honoring my needs, or am I abandoning my own self to keep someone else comfortable? I think that it's very important that we prioritize ourselves and our needs and how we're feeling. And but I hope that that does not also eliminate the fact that we also need to still show up for other people, show up as a community, show up as friends, show up as loved ones, show up as chosen family to others. But it's very important that we prioritize ourselves. And I just want to give a shout out to everyone who joined us for the series, all through the 3 series, and for those who joined just for today or the last series. But thank you, everyone. Say Oyeman, because they were baptizing your name. He's my brother from Benue. His name is
Oh,
Tse, not Tisa.
Say. Oh,
Yes,
Say. Okay,
Oyeman
Say.
Tse. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. And
Yeah.
Maya, history, despite its wrenching pain, cannot be unlived. But if faced with courage, need not be lived again. Thank you for sharing that today. And when all of you are sharing the healing practices that we should take with us, what ties it up for me is reciprocity. To sit in a place of reciprocity. When you look out for somebody to support you, support them back. When it doesn't have to be, we're not talking of exchange of equal thing or same thing. It can be the way you show up for them is how they need it. The way they show up for you is how you need it. And what I love about what all of you have said when it comes to paper trail, benevolent witness, auditing, self-auditing, and checking in. I know how all of these have practiced, and I'm grateful that you name them in a way that I can collate and even reflect back. Because when it comes to paper trail for you can be about journaling. It can be the letter you write to yourself. It's about that poem you write when something is going on. Because when you go back to that, it tells you the history of where you've been, or history of where you've been, or the history of where you've been and where you are going to. And that paper trail and having a benevolent witness, I think for me, paper trail and self-auditing, because with benevolent witness, I've been able to self-audit. Ade is in the room. I'm thankful for your brotherhood and, for being my brother, heart, mind, and soul. There are questions you ask me sometimes when I need to be my benevolent witness that will take me back to deep reflection. And at the end of the day, it takes me back to checking in with myself. It takes me back to, what am I learning? I remember, just to share briefly, one time I was reflecting so deeply and I realized I've been harming myself in many relationships is because I am a rescuer. I do, that thing of rescue syndrome. And when I noticed it, I'm like, no, this is harming. It means you are even, stripping others of their agency because you want to fix them. And then they too see you as the emergency fund or emergency help, and all of that is exhausting. And I made myself 13 rules of how I'm going to now go and begin, to deal with this issue of savior complex. Heal where that is coming from for me, why I am doing it, why it's no longer sustainable, and why reciprocity is part of what I'm taking going forward in every relationship. I know now we're talking about romantic relationship, but let's expand it a bit. Romantic relationship is not the hierarchy. We don't need to have hierarchy in any of our relationship. This is where the term of maybe relationship anarchy becomes useful, where your relationship is not hierarchical. Everybody in your life is as important. They hold sacred space in your life. One is not prioritized over another, but like you are able to encompass and put them within a space in your heart where they all belong, and it's okay. It's not that now that Toyin is dating Odi, Toyin is no longer talking to Ade because Odi hates Ade, and therefore Toyin must hate Ade too. We are no longer friends because of that. You see now how we continue to exclude ourselves instead of becoming a kind of blended family where Ade comes into Odi's and Toyin's relationship within the space of boundaries that they all co-create, So all of these are part of what we can practicalize to really have joy within our soul and to bring that joy into all the relationships where we show up, intra, and communal relationships. Based on this and on this note, I want to thank everybody for attending, for helping us bring this conversation to a close. We might have ended the Bruises Don't Always Show conversation, but iAfrica, we have other events in the future where your participation will be welcome and we'll be happy to have you. If any of you, our guests, have something burning to say before I give the floor to Amari to close us in grounding exercise for us, please go ahead. Otherwise, Amari, you have the floor.
So thank you, everybody. I just want to bring us checking with yourself and how are you feeling? Are you feeling something or not? You don't have to name it, but just check in with yourself. What are you feeling? How are you feeling? As we bring this meeting, this conversation to a close, I want us to take a deep breath. Take one deep breath and hold it for 4, and then we breathe out for 6, okay? So let's go. 1, 2, 3. In, hold, out. Take this deep breath again into your stomach. Hold it for 4 and release for minimum 6. Let's go again. In, hold, out. Another one. In, hold, out. Are you still present? Are you here? Many things were said. At the top of your head, what are you taking with you today? Just hold something in your heart, something you are taking with you. Okay. Okay. And the final part, I want us to conclude with this affirmation: I am enough. You can repeat after me. I am enough.
I am enough.
I've always been enough.
I've always been enough.
And I will continue to be enough.
Thank you so much, everyone. Continue to be enough.
Yes.
Amari, do you still have more to go on, or this is the end of our branding?
This is it. Yeah. I am enough. I've
I am
always been enough, and I will
always
continue
enough.
to be enough.
I will continue to be enough. Everybody, please remember that as you go forth. I'm going to leave us with another song of Odi that we are ending with. If you are still here, please listen to it as you continue to leave the conversation until we see again. If you feel like waiting, you can still be here to see the song to an end. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. You can still type in the chat room how you are feeling, what you're taking with you, and how this experience has been for you. Thank you so much, siblings. Much love to you all.
I do not do the regular. Be proud of what you stand for. Maybe don't change yourself. Let the rainbow guide you to a brighter day. Away, 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 Love will guide you, love will guide you, no matter who you are, who you love. Love will find you, love will guide you, no matter who you are, who you love. Just wanna live my life my way, only pray for better days. Pray to God to find my way, no more living in the shadows. Wanna live my life my way. Pray for better days. Got to get my way. No more living in the shadows.